Good morning, everyone. Today we are going to start the new chapter of science, that is chapter number 8, Cell Structure and Function. Now, if we see around us, so we can have different types of things, out of which some are living, whereas some are non-living. What is the difference between living and non-living things? That you have already done in the lower classes. So in this chapter, basically we are going to study about the living organisms and the smallest unit from which the living organism is made up of. So all the living organism, whether it is a microorganism or a human being or any huge animal like elephant or blue whale or whatever it is, if it is a living organism, then that is made up of, definitely it will be made up of a single unit, the basic unit from which all the living organisms are made up of, and that unit is termed as cell. So in this chapter we are going to study about the structure of cell, what are the different components from which the cell is made up of. Okay, so first of all we are going to define the cell. So cell is a structural and functioning unit of complex structure of life. Living organisms differ from one another, but all of them are made up of cells. Cells may be of different shapes, size, and can vary in number. Now, if we are talking about a huge animal and a very small animal, so all types of animals are having same type of cells. So what is the difference in that? The number of cells may be differ, but the basic structure of cell is exactly same. They will have the similar structure, they will have the similar components, but the number of cells may be changed and the shapes of the cells, size of the cells also may be changed. Basic structure will always remain same. That we can compare with the bricks of the buildings. As we are having different types of buildings around us, like we are having houses, we are having apartments, we are having hospitals, schools. So all these are having different shapes, different size, but all types of these buildings are made up of a single thing, the smallest unit, that is brick. Similarly, all the living organism, whether it is a housefly or it is a elephant, okay, what type of organism it is, it doesn't matter, but it will be made up of a single unit, and that unit is termed as cell. Now we can have the different types of organism on the basis of the number of cells. As we have discussed just now, size may vary, number may vary, even shape may vary. Okay, so here we are talking about the number. A single cell can also perform all the life processes. A single cell itself can represent an element, an organism, and these types of organisms are known as unicellular organisms. Uni stands for one. So unicellular organisms, that means the organisms which are made up of a single cell, and all the life processes will be performed by that single cell, like respiration, digestion, excretion, reproduction. All these processes will be performed by the single cell only. So these are known as unicellular organisms. Examples, paramecium, amoeba, bacteria, these are the examples of unicellular organisms. The next category is multicellular organisms. Multi, that means many, more than one. So any organism which is made up of two or more than two cells, that will be considered as multicellular organisms. Okay, so these organisms may be large and these organisms may be the microorganisms also, but the number of cells will be more than two. Okay, so unicellular organisms, that means made up of a single cell. Multicellular organisms, that means made up of two or more cells. Now we can have the different shapes of the cells. As you can see on the screen, the diagrams are also given in the book, or you can have different shapes. Some are spherical, some are long, some are branched, some are irregular also. Like amoeba you have done class 7, it does not have any specific shape. Similarly, if we are talking about the human body, So the white blood cell, that is WBC, this is also having irregular shape. That shape is continuously changing. Okay, so these are some specific shapes of the cells. After that, we have to discuss the basic structure of the cell. So from the diagram you can see, in diagram only three things are visible. One is the outline, and then the yellow substances, and then the dark substances at the center. So that dark substances in the center, that is named as nucleus. The borderline that you can see, that is cell membrane, that is also known as plasma membrane. And the blue part which is filled inside the cell, that is known as cytoplasm. So if we consider the nucleus and the cytoplasm together, so that will be termed as protoplasm. So overall, with the diagram you can see that the outer boundary wall, we can say, that is the outer line, that is named as cell membrane, and whatever component is enclosed inside that cell membrane, that is known as protoplasm. So protoplasm, that basically is the all the living matter of the cell, that is known as protoplasm. So if we see the overall component of the cell, so we can divide the cell into three basic components. The first one, we can see the outermost layer of the cell, that is the cell membrane. Inside that, in the previous slide we have seen the yellow, that blue color component filled in the full cell, that is cytoplasm. And the dark component present at the center of the cell, that is nucleus. So the three basic component of the cells are cell membrane, cytoplasm and nucleus. Cytoplasm and nucleus together known as protoplasm. So now we are going to discuss one by one all these components. So the first we are going to discuss about the cell wall. Now in the previous one we have said use the word cell membrane, okay, which is also known as cell membrane, and that is also known as plasma membrane. But here it is written cell wall. So cell wall and cell membrane, these are the two different things. Cell wall is a thick, rigid layer present outside the cell membrane. Cell membrane is the outermost layer of present in all type of cells. Then in some type of cell, after that cell membrane, we are having another protective layer, and that is known as cell wall. Now which type of cells contains that cell wall? Only the plant cells. Only the plant cells contain that extra protective layer, that is known as cell wall. Now why plants need that extra protective layer? Because they cannot protect themselves from the surrounding environment or the climatic changes or some animals attack on them. So they cannot run, they cannot hide themselves. So they need some extra protection for their survival, and that extra protection is in the form of cell wall. So cell wall is the extra protective layer which is present after the cell membrane, and it is present only and only in the plant cell. It is made up of cellulose, calcium pectate and magnesium pectate. So cell wall is a non-living in nature. Cell membrane is living in nature. Cell wall is a simply non-living thing, just it is there for protection of the cell. So the functions of the cell wall, that is very important topic. What are the different functions of cell wall? So it provides protection against the variation in temperature, high wind speed, moisture, etc. It provides mechanical strength, and it controls the shape and size of the cell. So these are the functions of cell wall. In just for cell wall, in the same way we have to see the functions of cell membrane. It provides protection. Cell wall also provides protection, but cell wall is not present in all types of cells. So the cells which do not contain cell wall, so for their protection, cell membrane is there. It gives shape to the cell. It allows the transport of material in and out of the cell. As we have discussed just now, it is semi-permeable in nature. So selective movement of the particles will be there through the cell membrane. After cell membrane, the next we have to discuss is cytoplasm. Cytoplasm, that is the liquid, we can say the jelly-like substance which is present between the cell membrane and the nucleus. As we have seen, overall the three basic components of the cell is there. These are cell membrane, cytoplasm and nucleus. So cell membrane is the outermost boundary. Inside that nucleus is there. Whatever material is present between the nucleus and the cell membrane, that is known as cytoplasm. It is a very important part of the cell as it contains different cell organelles which are very important for the life processes. So different cell organelles are present in the cytoplasm. Now the next part of the cell, the basic component of the cell, two already we have discussed, that is cell membrane and cytoplasm. After that, the next basic component of the cell is nucleus. It is the very important component of the cell because it controls the function of all other cell organelles. All of the cell organelles which are present in that cytoplasm. The functioning of all these organelles are controlled by nucleus. So nucleus, it is generally spherical, dense, granular and located in the center of the cell. It can be stained and observed easily with the help of microscope, because we can now see that nucleus without the microscope. Some cells are very big in size, their nucleus can be seen as if we are talking about the egg. So egg is also a single cell. That yellow part of the egg, that is the nucleus of the egg. So basically which cells are very smaller in size, their nucleus can be easily observed under the microscope. Now we have to see the different components of nucleus also. Nucleus, that is present at the center of the cell. Now inside the nucleus also we are having different parts. So now we are going to discuss about the parts of the nucleus. We have nucleoplasm. Okay. So nucleoplasm, that is the jelly-like substance which is present inside the nuclear membrane. Now, as nucleus is present at the center of the cell, similarly nucleolus, that is the center of the nucleus. So it is a small spherical body present inside the nucleus. After that, the next part of the nucleus is chromosomes. Chromosomes are thread-like structure present in the nucleus which carries genetic information from one generation to another. Okay, genetic information that passes from one generation to another, and that because of that only some characteristics of the one generation will be also appear in the next generation. Okay, and that is known as heredity, the transfer of genetic material from one generation to another generation. So chromosomes are responsible for heredity. Then in eukaryotic cells, genetic material is present in the nucleus in the form of chromosomes, and these are made up of highly organized DNA molecules with histone proteins supporting its structure. So basically chromosomes are the part of the cell which is responsible for transfer of genetic information from one generation to another generation.